Dear learners, the next part of JavaScript that today we are going to discuss. So till now we have seen from the fundas JavaScript based on variable, constant, what are the categories of operators, how to create a user-defined function, what are all the Java basic objects, what is the section of browser object model, in that what are all the categories of 5 different objects. These are all the things that we have covered till now. In today's session that we are going to work with the document object model as well as OOPS concepts in JavaScript. These are all the content that today we are going to cover. So document object model. So what it is ready to convey? Actually, it is ready to refer our HTML document only, right? Or HTML file. That means the complete document, which the complete HTML file, which consists of HTML code along with our script. Okay, that's what it is ready to refer. Pertaining to browser aspect is ready to refer in that visible screen area. So root element is always our HTML tag, right? So every tag has its own properties and methods. So with the help of document object, I could able to play with the tags. That's what I'm going to learn here. So in that aspect, what are all the contents we could able to store it dynamically, right? Ultimately, the thrust to learn a document object model is the source of emergence with respect to DHTML. Okay, dynamic hypertext markup language. The DHTML is emerged with a HTML plus one scripting language. Right, that's what. So initially, during the period of 99 and 2000, HTML plus VB script is very famous by the because on those times we have Microsoft Internet Explorer is very famous along with Netscape Navigator. These are all the two browsers will be very famous. So when the emergence of Google, what happened? The people are slowly deriving for the open source that made JavaScript to be very famous, right? So DHTML is the place where we started to work with the HTML and a scripting language. Especially if I want to work with the documents, I need to uh, play with the documents. I need objects to manipulate the document. That's the reason why we are going to learn document object model. So these are all the properties of the document. So the document consists of anchor tags, form tags, and the links pertaining to form. What are all the UI controls we will have? Text area, checkbox, radio button, select. So nothing but the drop down list, reset button, right? So these are all the document objects that I could able to work with because these are all available in the UI environment. So some of the main methods that we need to concentrate with respect to our training. So write is the method which is used to display the string, display the content whatever we have given within double quotes could be shown in the browser space. Write ln along with the new line. Get element by ID. For every tag we will be giving ID and get element by name. So for every control we will be giving a name. Through that we can access tag name. Every tag has its own name, class name. So nothing but when we are going to work with the CSS, we could have identifiers. So through that identifiers, I could able to access the elements. These are all the main methods that we are going to discuss. And again, we will be seeing all these methods individually how we have to create this. So accessing the field value by document object, how it is going to happen. So in the script, you have a content called, you have a built user-defined function called a print value, right? So what it is going to display, it is going to welcome some name, right? What that name, the value is going to be stored in name. How they are retrieving document. That's the main object. Document dot form one. Where is form one? Come to the second part of the program. Form name equal to form one. That is the name that they are ready to refer. Form one. Now we came to form one. Form one dot name. So form one dot name. So second control we are having a text area. So that is that the text area controls name is name. That's what they have given. So form one dot name. Now I am ready to refer the text area available in the form one, right? So the value what I am going to enter in the text box will be stored in the variable name. That's all. So the third line what they have given in the form, they are creating a button. So in the button it will display the label is nothing but a print name. They are calling a method print value. In the print value method only what we did, we are ready to refer the string what we are going to type inside the text area will get to be stored on the variable name. So what will happen when I'm going to click the when I'm going to click that button, print value button, it will display a message box, an alert box, which consists of welcome along with what is the name I have typed in the text box will be displayed towards me. For example, I have typed RIT means welcome RIT. That will be displayed in the alert message box. So that's the thing. So how we are accessing the object, that's very important. Document dot form one dot name dot value. Document refers your browser. Form one refers your corresponding HTML form. Name represents the text box. Value represents the value what you are going to type inside the text box. Finally, the value will be retrieved and stored in the variable name. Right? That's the way to create and interpret. Next, get element by ID. Right? So in this program that we are creating the cube, right? So you have to identify, see that how I am retrieving. In the previous one, I have used the form, right? Here I have not used the form. Instead of that, document dot get element by ID, right? By ID, I have given number. So what is the control which is having ID number? You see that there is a text box which is having the ID number. So what is the value I am typing inside the text box will be stored in the variable number. Alert of number cross number cross number. So ultimately it will print the cube of the given number. So here I am accessing the value what I am going to type inside the text box using the ID of the text box. When I am going to click a button, what will happen? Ultimately, when I am going to click button, what will happen? It will display an alert box which consists of what is the value I have typed in the text box being cubed. If I'm going to if I'm going to give 2 as the input in the text box, ultimately it will show me alert in the message. It will show me 8. Right? So that's a way to work with the get element by ID. Next, get elements by name. Okay, so again, already we have seen in the context of form object. Now we are going to see directly in terms of browser object. That's what document dot get elements by name. See that get elements. That means more than one control. I am having the flexibility to give same name for more than one control pertaining to radio button. Right. So that could be used as a option in that case. So for male and female, I have created 2 radio buttons. Both of them are being named as gender. Okay. How I am accessing that? Document dot get elements by name gender. So I'm having 2 controls having the name gender. So it is ready to give me the number of genders being chosen by the user in the form when it is going to be clicked, right? Total number of elements, total genders will be displayed when I'm going to click that button. Okay, I have to choose a radio button and I have to click the button. It will convey me how many male and female. That is ready to convey me the count. That's the idea behind this method. Get elements by tag name, right? Tag name. You could able to see this here. They have given 3 paragraph tags in the main document. You could able to see 3 paragraph tags. We have a button. So on click count para. Count para is the user defined function which is given inside the script tag. There you could able to see document dot get elements by tag name. Get elements by tag name. What is the tag name I have given? P. So how many tags I have used here? Totally 3 tags I have opened and 3 tags I have closed. So ultimately, when I'm going to click that button in the alert message box, it will show me total P tags are 3. So likewise, it will convey. Right. So that's the way to work with the get elements by tag name. See, I am ready to access the data which is being displayed inside the browser. That's the role, right? These are the platform for our XML also. Inner HTML. So we are having 2 methods: inner HTML, built-in identifiers, inner HTML and inner text. These 2 people will help us to identify the dynamic data that what we are entering in the corresponding text. So here you could able to see there is a form. You have a button. So show command form is the method that they are ready to call. So when I'm going to click that button, what will happen? The function will be invoked. The function is having, see that I am ready to give my complete tag within the JavaScript. while I am going to use this inner HTML. I am giving the HTML within the script itself in the function, right? Please remember. As well as here you have a provision. If I am going to use the div tag, what is the ID I am going to mention over div tag? Only that particular place I could able to simulate my script. That's what it is going to be work over there. So what I need to store in the variable data, I am going to store through a text box. I am receiving a name, as well as through the text area I have mentioned over there, and I have a submit button. So it is like a compose box. Okay, whatever I am going to type inside that compose box will be stored in the variable data that will be invoked via this inner.html. So time to time it will change, right? So dot inner html will ready to refer all these things. That's the prime thing that I need to work with, right? So what are all the, see here, you are having a text box, you are having a text area, you are having a button, submit button. All these three controls are being referred by single ID. Till now the methods whatever we have seen, it is ready to refer a tag or a corresponding tags ID or a corresponding tags class, the thing that you have seen. But this one, that inner HTML will ready to refer me the portion of the document available in my browser. Portion of the HTML document. It consists of more than one control. All the three controls are being referred by a single name. That's what my location being provided my div tag. That's the main concern about this inner HTML. Please remember that. So when I'm going to click that, ultimately it will display in the place. So inner text, that's what the same thing. So if I am ready to display that value, that has to be passed over from this dot inner text. So depending upon the condition is being satisfied from the form. So they are creating a form. It consists of a password box. So it is going to check whether the password is strong or not. So if the strength is greater than, if the length of the password is greater than 5, it will give us good. If not, it will be ready to pass us poor. So the place where they are mentioning in the document using the span tag ID my location, right? So through that they will display strength good or strength poor. So likewise they are ready to convey your value using that dot inner text. Next section, form validation. That's a major thing that you could able to do it, right? Normally in the web application environment or in the web programming environment, the process of doing validation pertaining to data has to done in the backend only. So the front end, why we are doing means the role of presentation tier needs to be enhanced. That is the reason why we are doing this, right? Here in the form, I am creating a text box. I am creating a password, right? So it is ready to display three controls: a text box, a password, and a submit button, right? Here I am going to validate first the text box. I should not leave my text box empty. That's what they are ready to refer. Name equal to null or name double equal to empty string. Ultimately, I will get an alert message, name can't be blank. As well as when I'm going to supply my password, the string should be at least 6 characters. If it is going to be less than 6 characters, again an alert message will get to be received, right? So by satisfying one condition only, it will go to the next condition. The value available in the name and the password are retrieved using the first method, that what we have seen, document dot form name dot control name dot value, right? So likewise they are retrieving the values of name and password from text box and password box. So a very simple validation mechanism being shown to us. So the second stage of validation, retype the password. So normally I think when you are going to create, when you are going to get into any websites, that first time if they want to ask you to create a user profile, in that case they will ask you to recheck while you are going to create your profile, they will ask you to you give a username and a password for that. While you are going to type the password, they will ask you to retype again to confirm the password. So to validate, right, are you typing the same password? That's the thing. So the logic has been given over there. So first time we are going to refer that value Okay, password box. Again, the second you are having again another password box. So both the password boxes are differentiated by using their name, password and the password too, right? When they are ready to check, if both are equal, no issues. If both of them are not equal, it is ready to generate an alert message box saying that password must be same. It's a another stage in the validation. Number validation, it is something interesting, right? It should not be null, as well as the, for example, they are ready to give you a text box. In the text box, mandatorily you have to type only number. For example, in the forms that we are going to create, we can create a mobile number column. In that, I should not enter any character. So in that case, you can employ this validation. So you have to enter only number. So how to check that? So for that, you are having the function is NaN. Okay, should not be null, as well as it need to check only the number only. So if I am going to enter any other character, it will display the message enter numerical value only, right? If I'm going to enter other than number, other than 0 to 9, if I'm going to enter, it is ready to generate me this message enter numeric value. Email validation, that's something interesting, right? So probably are you entering a valid email or not? How your valid email must be there? So you have a name at, you have a service provider name dot, you have a DNS, either com or edu, whatever may be, right? So all those three positions are being measured using that at position dot position variables, right? So they are ready to retrieve the value through the variable x. How they are receiving? You are having a text box over there. In the text box, you are typing an email. That value is being parsed using that. They are ready to check at and dot symbols. So by that, it is being validated. If it is not being available with the specific position, ultimately they are ready to generate enter a valid email address, right? What was missing, they will mention regarding a dot. Okay, so that could be the idea. They are ready to show on email validation. So by that, the validation section is over. Here onwards, we are going to work with the OOPS concept in JavaScript. How to declare a class. So the same procedure what we have seen in our Java will ready to commence here. So here you are going to see something new, which is called a constructor. Normally we will see in Java the class name of the constructor. What would be the class name? That is the name of the constructor also. But here you are having a built-in method constructor. Okay. So I am declaring a method detail. In the constructor, I am initializing two variables, ID and name. This it represents, which points towards the current object. I am creating two objects, E1 and E2. E1 is having an employee data, E2 is having another employee data. E1.detail and E2.detail. It will call the method. When E1 is called, details about 101 will come. When E2 is called, details about 102 is come. So everything will be available inside the script only, right? So please remember that I could able to write a class and object program within script also. So that's a new flavor that you are seeing now. Next, so prototype. So this is a new functionality in our JavaScript. So prototype, what is meant by prototype? I could able to use a function as a prototype. That's what they are ready to see, right? So here I am writing a function employee. It is receiving two arguments, first name and last name. So those values are being retained by using the keyword this. So we are creating two objects, employee 1 and the employee 2. So employee 1 will be referred, that this will refer for that. Second time when is going to call, so this will refer for employee 2. That is the main thing. Now they are ready to call a function called a full name, right? How that full name is going to work here. So what I need to do on that, so I have to create like this, employee, that is the name of the function, dot prototype, it is the built-in keyword, dot full name, that is the user defined name for the prototype. Okay, full name is the user defined name for the prototype, which is equal to function. So the return value of the function is going to be stored in this instance. That's it. So what it need to do, I am going to write it in the logic. Return, using return keyword, I am ready to refer return this dot first name concatenating with this dot last name along with a space. Okay, so if I'm going to supply Martin and Roy, so it will go to employee Martin and Roy. This and first name and last name are being initialized using this keyword, and prototype, through prototype we will call that function, we will combine and we will display that, right? So a useful content that we have seen, we will see as a term of abstract also later stage, right? A very simple notation. The place I need to interpret again is how to create a prototype. Employee is the function name, dot prototype is the keyword, dot full name is the name of the prototype, which is equal to function. Function is the keyword again, right? So what has to happen inside the function must be returned in the instance. Employee.prototype.full full name will be returned over that. What it need to return, what was initialized over on there, that is going to be returned here in this program. Even you could be able to perform any type of operations over on that. So constructor method with super example. Already we know about super. When I'm going to use with the constructor, the super keyword with the constructor, what will happen? As per Java, immediate base class contents will be invoked. That's all, nothing more than that. Here you are having two classes, company name and the employee. In company name, I am having a constructor which is ready to refer a company RIT. So in the second section, you are having a class called the employee, which is having a constructor which is having two arguments. First one is the default constructor in the company name. The second class we are having the constructor with the arguments ID and the name. The ID and the name are being passed from the variable emp, where from the object emp for the class employee 1 comma John. So 1 comma John will be assigned to ID and name. What about company? Because we are going to display those things also. That company will be shown through our super keyword. So it will be initialized from the super, right? Super will ready to refer my immediate base class, because this dot company will be retrieved from there. Okay, this dot company will retrieved from there, from the base class. So please remember. So ultimately it will display employee ID will be 1, employee name will be John, employee company will be displayed as RIT, right? So that's the simple example about constructor, right? I could be able to use default constructor as well as parameterized constructor in JavaScript. Static method, I think it won't have that much of influence on this, but when we are going to use it within the class, I could be able to talk about this. We have a class test, I have a method display, I am display some statement, that's it, that's the working logic of the program. So before that, prefixing the display method, I have used the keyword static. So document.write-ln of test.display. So class name dot method name I have access to like this. Normally, whatever I am going to display, whatever I am going to write within the class, that will be accessed using the object what I have created for the class. Instead of object, here I am ready to access through the class name. So test.display, which is ready to invoke my static method, which is available inside the class. So that's the thing that I want to convey. Next, encapsulation. Okay, so you have a program which is ready to talk about. In constructor, we are having two variables, name and marks. When we are going to talk about encapsulation, please remember that getter and setter methods. That's all. Getter and setter methods. So set method will initialize, getter method will display that value. That's the main thing. See that I am having two variables, name and marks. First, see the get method, get name. Next, set name. Okay, set name is having an argument name. From where this name is going to come, check the bottom section of the slide. So we are creating an object stud for the student class. Object dot set name of John, right? This John will be passed towards that set name. So name will have this, get name will return this name. That's it. Okay. When stud.getName is going to be invoked, what will happen? Ultimately, it will return this value, right? That is the beauty of this getter and setter methods. That we'll talk about our encapsulation always. So the getter and setter methods are available for both the variables, name and marks. So both name and marks will be received through set method and returned through get method, right? That's what our JavaScript encapsulation. Encapsulation is talking about getter and setter methods. Okay, so we are having two variables here. So we are having two getter method and two setter methods. Inheritance in JavaScript, right? So here we have inherited a built-in class. Okay, I wrote a class called moment. So I am ready to invoke the super inside the constructor. So what is my immediate base class here? Ultimately, it is going to be my date. Remember, date. Date is the base class here. Moment is our derived class, right? Please remember. I am ready to invoke the date class here. So by that, I am ready to display my current date, right? So that's what. So again, I'm going to display my date along with the month being incremented by 1 with a full year that I'm going to display. A simple inheritance which talks about the contents of the built-in class date, right? Here I have not followed anything user defined, completely built-in predefined functions only I have used here, right? So even we could able to use inheritance in JavaScript, right? That's for predefined class. What about for user defined class? See here, I'm having a class called bike. I'm having a class called vehicle. I'm inheriting bike with a vehicle. So here I have used a parameterized constructor name and price. So name and price are being passed from the object V via shine and 70,000 being passed. But company name will be retrieved from the base class constructor, that is using the keyword super, right? Similar example we have seen in the previous section also. So this could talk about my customized class for inheritance. In the previous program, here we have seen predefined class date. Here we have seen customized class bike. So that's the way of using inheritance in the JavaScript. Next, polymorphism, right? So more than one form. You have a class A and again you have a class B. Both are inherited. I am having display. Both the method names are same, display, right? More than one form, but the content is going to be something different. How polymorphism can be used in JavaScript? I have created a object A which is equal to new A comma new B, anonymous way of creating the content using array, right? Here I have shown you where A equal to, I am creating the single object for these two classes. A dot for each, syntax A dot for each, iterating the homogeneous document, right? A dot for each function of message. It could be like your lambda expression. A dot for each, I am ready to display both the contents. So when this function is going to be invoked, see the representation clearly. A dot for each, I'm opening the parenthesis, writing a built-in, sorry, writing a user-defined function of message MSG. This MSG is being invoked from my display. Please remember, MSG dot display. This MSG dot display will invoke my corresponding thing. When new A is being instantiated, I will get A is invoked. When new B is being instantiated, B is invoked. Okay. So how the opening and closing parentheses are being available? I have opened for each. Okay. I have curly braces within function. By closing those curly braces, I have to close the parenthesis of for each, right? So that's a way to write like the lambda expression, right? So this is the way polymorphism can be achieved in our JavaScript. Abstraction, right? This could be the important thing that we need to learn in Hoops concept. So see that there is a function called a vehicle. There we are referring a vehicle name, okay, variable vehicle name. Even I could able to use exception handling also. We will see detailedly exception handling in the forthcoming sessions. So vehicle name, what is this vehicle name is actually? Vehicle name is the corresponding variable being passed over from another function, right? And the second section which is talking about your prototype. So name of the function is vehicle dot prototype is the keyword dot display, right? Remember display which is equal to function. What it is going to return? So name of the prototype is display, which is equal to function. What the function is going to return? Function is going to return the vehicle name. This dot vehicle name, right? This is the prototype. Now I am creating a constructor function. How I am doing this? I am writing a function called bike. I am writing a function called bike. The argument is vehicle name. This dot vehicle name is equal to vehicle name, right? This dot vehicle name is equal to vehicle name. This is the place where we are achieving our abstraction. We don't know what is happening behind this function bike. That's all. But bike only visible to us. Function vehicle, prototype display, both are hidden behind our bike. That's all. This vehicle name equal to vehicle name. This is the code which will activate the prototype as well as the function. Activate the prototype display, activate the function vehicle. Both of them are running behind our corresponding function. Okay, so for the bike, I have created the prototype using the class object dot create. So this is the place where we are seeing our object, right? Remember, object dot create of vehicle dot prototype, right? Function name dot prototype that is being accessed over there. I am passing an object for a bike ultimately. So the variable will send over there. Bike dot display will invoke my vehicle name. That's the way of achieving abstraction. Abstraction, the code that what I have given the red color will exhibit my abstraction because bike only visible to the user. The thing which is happening behind bike is the function vehicle as well as the prototype display is completely void for them, right? What is the value I am given over there that will be displayed towards them. That's uh, a splendid revision of our complete OOPS concepts over on this section. So we have seen abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance in two ways. One is for built-in class and another is for customize the class, encapsulation, how to use a static method, how to use our constructor, how to create a prototype, and a class declaration. So up to this, we have seen the OOPS concepts in the JavaScript, as well as we have seen validations in JavaScript at the initial stage, right? So these are all the concerns that we have discussed today, and happy learning. We will continue further. Thank you.